All right, so this is episode 2 on the Ripple Ranch update, June 29th. We have a lot to catch you up on. We've been through a lot of season. It is June 29th, and we just told you about kind of what we're doing in the pastures and what we got going on there. Now we're out at our creeks. For those of you that haven't seen, we have this really beautiful place. It's super cool. It's kind of a camper in the woods. We have this whole meadow, and there's literally thousands of trees on this place. We have primarily locust and cottonwood, and this whole creek bottom burned down now 9 years ago. And so all the trees you see here are 9 years or younger. Yeah, 9 years old or younger, but here's the size of the timbers that were in here before it burned. So we literally had 100-foot, big, giant, old growth cottonwoods in here until the river bottom burned down, and everything has regrown since then. So super beautiful and really cool that that's how cottonwoods in these riparian areas work. Now, real quick update, if you look over here, that's where the raven nest was. I believe our ravens unfortunately got caught in the situation of the avian flu. A lot of predatory birds die during that scenario because they're landing, and when birds get the avian flu, they become sedentary. They kind of go on the ground, and they take several days to die on the ground. And when predator birds come in, then they'll catch it and then they'll bring it back to their nest, and I think that's what happened. I'm super heartbroken. I believe our ravens, I know all 4 babies died, and I believe our adults died. We never found the adults, but I watched the babies kind of die one by one as I checked on them. And I almost considered pulling one out and trying to rehab it, and it was so weak that I didn't think. I actually fed it thinking maybe that she wasn't having success feeding them. And I know somebody's going to say, well, you disturbed the nest. And I was very cautious that they were always gone when I was up there and all that stuff. So anyway, regardless of that, I was trying to be helpful and then also observe what was happening. And unfortunately, I think they got caught in that scenario because the adults are gone. The adults lived in the barn as well and were there, and they're no longer here. So hopefully maybe if they didn't die, they'll come back and try next year, or another group of ravens will come into place. So I'm bummed about that. But here is the creek. This is the smaller creek of the 2 creeks that we have on the property. And what's really interesting about this, we're right towards the time of year when the creeks are going to dry up. And this creek here was dry last night. It's the smaller of the 2 creeks. It comes out of one big drainage. The other creek, which is literally just over there because the confluence is right here, comes out of the drainage up above. And there's several feeder drainages, and it has a lot more water in it. They confluence on our property, and we can take out of the water for irrigation. We have a lot we have really cool water rights from 1896. And so we have really cool and high water rights on this river system. And we've been using it this year for intermittent irrigation, pumping water out of it, but we're going to be setting up an entire elaborate system here in the future so that we're not moving pipes and making our job super hard to water the land for the time frame that we have water. So what's interesting is yesterday this was dry, and I find this in the high country as well, that in the mornings, springs that are beginning to deplete will fill up with water because overnight the dehydration factor goes away, the coolness. Remember, under every creek is a creek. So this is not just flowing on the surface, it's flowing underneath as well. So when the dehydration factor stops on the entire network, it begins to fill up again. And so here in the morning, it's full. By later in the afternoon, it'll dry up again, and it'll go through this cycle until it completely dries. So there's that. I also want to show you that we created a cold plunge. Shea's got to walk across some rocks here. Nice job, Shea. So we also created, and this is date night. Date night's super cute. The previous owners did it. It's a really cool Airbnb kinda. We really keep it for like a guest house, and it's just this cute little place in the woods. It's all glamped out on the inside. Everything's all fixed up. It's super cute on the inside. It's a really rad place. So if you ever come and visit, us here at Ripple Ranch, this is likely where you'll stay, which is a super cool place. This is a really sacred place on the ranch. It's the confluence of the two streams, both mountains on each side. Energetically, on an energy level, this place is really super amazing and beautiful. So if you look over here, we have a very cool new addition. I kind of disturbed the dirt doing it, but we made a cold plunge. So I created a dam on the back end of it, and it's really just a hard dam. It's a flow through more than anything. So all I did is basically dam it up with an exit, and here's where the creek within a creek works, is that because I didn't line the bottom, this creek spills into the ground and is traveling through the ground, and you can see it's running through over here, but it's not going over the spillway. So when we started, when there was extra water, it went through the spillway, and now it's not using the spillway anymore, but it's just coming in. And that water is actually about waist deep. So, and it is cold, 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 cold. Like take your breath away, you know, yell out loud, really amazing cold. And then the other thing, so it's beautiful for a cold plunge. And then the other thing we did is Trisha's little project where she put up what's called a bell tent. And so we have another place for people to stay when they come to the ranch, and it's kind of a permanent, we'll be there all summer and then we'll tear it down during the winter, and we have that going on. So let's head over to the babies, and we're just gonna break so you don't have to sit there and watch us walk. Anyway, I'll catch it. We're gonna walk clear up here to the upper side of the ranch, and it'll take us time. So rather than you guys watching us walk, we'll just break here and then go on. All right, so part of the ranch update is the guineas. The guineas, in my opinion, again, was a dumb idea. They're super loud. We're having trouble getting them to do what we want, which is to not roost with our other chickens. Everybody else online says it's so hard to get that to happen. If you ever want that to happen, just make sure you grow them up with a couple of laying hens, and they got to come back where they were. So if that's what you want, that's how we did it. But we didn't want that. We wanted them to just kind of go feral and be in the creek bottom and eat our grasshoppers. But we were dumb to do that because we could have done that with meat chickens, and which is what we're planning on doing. I'm going to show you the coop we're building. But here's the guineas. They're loud. They're kind of a pain in the butt. They fly over all our fences, so it's really hard to contain them. We did put up some new gates with our latches, which, by the way, we're going to be able to give you a discount code on these someday soon. They're awesome. And there's the guineas right there. And the guineas, again, are just kind of a pain in our butt because they poop everywhere, they're loud, and their only value is to eat ticks and bugs. But I can have a meat chicken do that and have a butcherable animal, which are meat chickens. We've gone to a species called a Bieldefelder, which is a German hybrid between a layer and a meat chicken. So the roosters at full growth get like 9 pounds. They're super big, and they grow fast enough. Plus, they're really good brooders and good layers. So the hens were expensive. They're $10 a piece, which is crazy expensive for a hen. But the roosters we got for $1 a piece. And so we're growing a bunch of the roosters, and then we're going to try to keep a rooster around and have them producing clutches, and then we'll add to our hen crop that way. And then instead of having to buy chicks every year, we're going to have a hen brooding and raising babies, and then we'll harvest those each season or as they do it. Now, I've never done any of that, so this is all a big experiment. I'm curious how it goes. But I would tell you with chickens, remember, if you do more than 50 at once, that's a chicken every week all year long, tons of freezer space, and any more than that, you better be ready to sell them or eat 2 chickens a week and have an independent freezer. So when you're raising meat chickens, think about that. And then if you have somebody who'll butcher them cheap in your area, it's nice just to take all your chickens down, hand it to them, come back and get frozen packets, and it's worth $5 a piece or $6 a piece to do that. And there are people in my area that'll do it for that. Or you can get all into the plucking and the scalding and the cleaning and the freeze. It's a big kind of a pain in the butt. And if you can get somebody to do it cheap for you, I have preferred to do that. So there's that. This is the baby area, and there's the Beeldefelders. See them all? They're down here. We let them out of this area every day, and our babies are starting to grow up. They're all weaned. This is a little doeling. If you look at the legs on her, she's exactly what we're looking for in pack goats. That's a super leggy doeling, and she's great. They are feeding in this pasture, and they are eating a invasive weed for us called skeleton weed. And come to find out, goats will eat the tops off. I'll show you. And it's actually quite nutritious. If you make a skeleton weed not be able to flower, it's an annual. And so if you make it not be able to flower, then it can't reproliferate. And so we're eliminating skeleton weed off of our ranch with goats. And our goal is to have the meat chickens eat the grasshoppers, so the grasshoppers won't eat the goat food, and then the goats are our food and their milk and everything else. It's this really beautiful, interconnected, thought out process that we're doing here on the farm. And again, you guys, have only been here since August. So I've been here for like 10 months. We have done so much in those 10 months, and we're gonna be years learning how to work with this land and how to set it up best and fish and everything else. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to learn this. And our temporary housing for these chickens is here. So the Beeldefelders are really big. We also got Red Rangers, and we are personally raising 75 meat chickens because we're also raising them for people we love and in the community. So these are all the Red Rangers, and they're younger. They're like 30 days old, and they'll range and eat. The Cornish crosses are like a Franken chicken. They're a white chicken. Usually if you feed them a lot, they can't even walk. They have all broken down legs. I've raised them before. It feels super not natural to raise Cornish crosses because, again, they are like this genetically engineered chicken that grows to butchering weight in like 6 weeks, and they can't even walk because they grow so fast. So I prefer kind of these more hybridized models of meat chickens where they're still a natural chicken. They'll eat our grasshoppers. Sure, it takes a little longer, but if you're free ranging your chickens, they're going to be more healthy. They're going to create a solution to your bug problem, and you're going to have I think kind of a energetically a better experience with raising meat chickens. When you get to see them walk and be in these roving packs on your farm, it's cool and satisfying. When you see a chicken whose leg is poking out sideways because he's been genetically engineered to grow so fat he can't bear his own weight, it just doesn't feel that awesome. You end up feeling sorry for him and butchering some of them because they can't even walk. So anyway, so there's that. You guys, we're at that perfect time where you're probably going, Mark, get on with it, or you're going, wow, I can't wait to hear more. Cool, but we're going to still break it up, and we got one more sequence because I want to show you what's happening on the upper side of the ranch, and then we'll talk to you about that. I'm Mark Warnke, the Goat Guy. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, share, comment, let us know what you like, what you'd like to see more of. And then as well, we teach specifically about goats, but we are launching into this whole lifesteading realm, which is a term that I kind of invented to wrap around the idea of owning or stewarding a piece of land, giving back to the community, building your physical health, building your mental health, your spiritual health, and also providing food, shelter, and sustenance on a piece of ground. And then that's all wrapped with an idea that should be given back to the community and back to the world and left better than we had it. So if that's something that you're interested in watching us progress through, we invite you to continue to watch the videos. And if you need any help with your goats, there's no question, if you have a homestead or you have a piece of ground, the animal you should own, if you own a hoofed animal for milk, meat, companion, pet, packing, is goats. And that's our specialty. So we can help you out with anything goats, with courses, and we have a goat club membership and discounts and gear and information and products and downloads on PDFs, and we can be your sole source for goats, and you'll get everything you need here. So I hope you find that helpful. We're going to now move on to the upper end of the operation, and we're going to be able to show you what's going on there.